Hey, what's up, fellas? Welcome to Men's Power Connect, a podcast where we get together to equip, engage, and empower men in life and leadership. In this episode, we're taking a pretty cool pivot into a new series as we dive deep into diverse journeys of fatherhood. Whether you're a stepfather navigating blended family dynamics, a single dad holding it down solo, a father raising a child with special needs, or an adoptive dad building love beyond biology, this space is for you because we understand that fatherhood isn't one size fits all, and every journey is worth telling. So join us as we unlock the complexities and enigmas of fatherhood and celebrate different dads, different journeys, and one code.
What's up, fellas? This is Carlos Green with the Men's Power Connect, and welcome back. We've got another episode with the Men's Power Connect. Excited about what we're doing at this point. And again, I got my iron sharpening iron brothers here with me. And you know, we do this podcast because we want to make sure that we're engaging, equipping, and empowering men in life and leadership. And we're hoping that you're going to go on this journey with us as we actually go into the next series there. Yeah, and again, I want to introduce my iron sharpening iron brothers with me. None other than the Mr. Osai
Oh, man,
Hardy.
That was the longest intro I think that we had. Thank you,
like,
brother. I
I
appreciate that. I was ready. I was like, I'm on my toes.
Yeah.
What are you going to say? Good to be back, y'all.
Good to be back.
Y'all good?
Yes.
We good.
Good.
Brother.
All good.
Yes.
Good to see you guys again.
Awesome. And then my other iron sharpening iron brother, none other than Mr. Myron Head.
Grace and peace, everybody. What's going on? And welcome again back to the Men's Power Connect platform. And listen, we are building a community here, as Carlos mentioned, of equipping, engaging, and empowering men in life and in leadership. And we want to thank you guys for tuning in and being a part of this journey with us. And that's what we're going to talk about today, right? We are going to talk about the dad code, where we have different dads and different journeys, but we all have the same code in mind, and that's to be involved dads, be committed dads, and to just keep showing up. And so what do you mean by different journeys? So we're going to start today just kind of kicking off the different roles that dads play, right? Whether it be, well, we won't get into it yet. Carlos, tell me something. What does that mean, the dad code, right? Where we talk about showing up. What does that mean? What does that look like?
I believe that the dad code means that there are dads out there that are showing up on a consistent basis, and they are being equipped to just make sure that they're not only leaving a legacy, but they're also creating the legacy for their children on a regular, daily, monthly basis. And they're creating rhythms and routines that's going to actually help their children be the best version of themselves. No matter what situation that they find themselves in, when we're talking about all these different types of dads, they understand their intentional purpose for showing up.
Love that.
And what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
So that's the journey that we're on tonight.
No, I like it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it, too, based on conversation that we've had in previous episodes, like our journeys were different, right?
Correct.
If we're talking about our upbringing and just our history, the way that we kind of our family dynamics wasn't necessarily the traditional route, right? But we realized the impact that our fathers have made. Right. I know my stepfather, your stepfather as well, right, has made in our lives. And, you know, we thought about it and we were like, okay, maybe it's more than just what we're accustomed to talking about on a regular basis, you know, based on what we've discussed in previous episodes. There are fathers that are listening and watching right now that may have a different journey, have a different dynamic. But all the, like you said, all the same goal, you know, and we're celebrating that right now.
We are.
We want to celebrate all of the different dynamics that are shared with the many fathers that are out there. Yeah. So I think that's kind of the approach that we've made.
So if I could say one thing, good. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's it.
Good?
Yeah. I'm good.
If I could say one thing about my dad and what I consider my bonus dad, because both of them were there in my life. My bonus dad was there toward the beginning of my life. And then once my biological dad actually gave his life over to Christ, he became so instrumental in my life as well. So it took me some years to process through all of that, though, because there were so many things that were happening in my family dynamic from a father standpoint that only until I became older did I really understand how I could celebrate the journey that I was on by having both of those dads. Because early on, it was like, why? And I don't understand it. And why did my biological dad show up? And then why do I have this other dad that I really don't know? I'm getting to know him now. And so when I was in those situations, it wasn't like I was sat down and told what was happening and why it was happening and what was going through. It just circumstances happened.
Yeah.
And I found myself in this situation as a young man. And then not until I got older and really started to do the work of processing through it. In hindsight, I saw it as a blessing now. Because I was able to do it. And I was able to unpack some things and continue to have those relationships with my dads. But I could just imagine some fathers now that are still having to process through some things that happen younger in their lives that may show up as dads with their kids.
That's good. So let's talk about the journeys, right? So, and here's the thing. I'm going to get ready to run down a list real quick. If we don't call out your specific situation, dads out there, we invite you, drop it in the comments,
please,
so that we can make sure that we are giving you the honor and the respect in whatever role it is that you're playing in your son or your daughters or your children's lives. All right. So drop that in the comments. So Carlos just mentioned the first one we're going to talk about in our series, and that's bonus dads, or some people may use the terms stepdad. Just kind of depends on your situation. But we want to honor and respect both of those journeys that a dad may be on. And then also there's the dads who are the parents or the father of a special needs child, and what that looks like, right? And I know O's going to talk about that here in just a second. And then we also we're going to talk about and lean into dads who may have an autistic child. And what does that journey look like? And again, like Osai was kind of hitting on, we recognize that the traditional father, which these in most cases are traditional as well, but as we know it as the traditional father, is what gets a lot of play and a lot of conversation. And a lot of these dads kind of get left out. And so we wanted to take some time to really, again, celebrate these dads, talk about what that journey looks like. We're going to invite some guests in who are dads on those particular journeys, who can really speak to it. So you definitely want to make sure you tune in for that. And we'll try and give notice in advance so that if there's a specific situation you're looking for, we'll make sure you don't miss that. But we want to celebrate that, because with all of these different journeys, there are challenges, but there's also blessings. There's also successes that we may not understand. Me coming from a more traditional structure with my, how I grew up, I may not understand some of the challenges of a dad who has a son who's autistic, but I also may not understand, man, there's so many blessings. There's so much joy there. And a lot of, good things that are happening that a lot of people may not know about. And we want to take the time to really, lean into that.
And I'm very curious about it, the insights
Yes.
that we're going to be able to glean from that.
Absolutely.
Because I believe that they're all part of our community.
Yeah.
And just to understand their journey, I'm just literally very curious.
Yeah.
And how do I show up?
Absolutely.
What does that look like?
And then everything that they can bring to the table for other fathers,
Yes.
the tools, the resources.
Yes.
Like, we're going to have them to make sure that they incorporate that within these podcasts, these episodes too, so that you can have something to glean from.
Yeah. And then as a brother, how can I support a dad, who may be a bonus dad, maybe a stepdad, as we move down the line who may be a dad who has a child with a mental or maybe a physical disability, right? What does that look like? And just getting into that. And then we also have dads who are on the journey where maybe the race or ethnicity that they have is not shared with their son. And what does that look like, right? So then also we'll talk about, and this is another area you don't hear a lot. We hear all Beyonce's song about the single ladies, but we don't talk much about the single dads.
That part.
And they're out there. There are some dads out there who their children are with them full time, 100% of the time, and there's no other parent in the home, and they just doing it. They making it happen. All right. So again, we want to salute those dads as well. And then we also have some dads who are grandfathers, but they're operating in that caretaking role and occupying the space of a father. What does that look like, right? And then we also have the dads who are fully involved. And the words you used earlier, I love. They're intentional about parenting their children, but they don't have full custody of their children. And what does that look like, right? So having that conversation as well. Blended families, how does that look? What are the joys? What are the challenges there? And then finally, salute to our military dads who might have to spend time overseas. What does that look like? How is that impacting the dynamics of the home and of the family? So again, stay tuned. We won't be able to do interviews for all of these dads, but we're going to touch on several of them. And I want to just read a quick statistic, and then we'll kind of get into some other things here. But children with involved fathers are 39% more likely to do well in school, get good grades, and 46% less likely to experience any type of depression. So again, that goes back to that intentional word. And you can be an intentional dad on any of the journeys that we just mentioned, and it'll have an impact on your son or your daughter. It'll have an impact on how they do in their studies. It'll have an impact on their mental health.
Yeah, that's right.
Anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, well, do I want anything? I just don't want to go down that rabbit hole, just yet.
Yeah.
I know that mental wellness is definitely an important piece, and when we're talking about fatherhood, that is definitely significant as well. But I don't know if I want to quite open that door just yet.
Okay.
You're going to leave it as a surprise.
Cliffhanger.
Love it.
Yeah.
I do.
Carlos, anything else to add on that?
I would just say that for that military dad, that could be a very, very challenging space, because you mentioned when they have to go out and do their deployments. On tour, and they're gone for weeks and months at a time.
Years.
Yeah. What does that look like? My brother was a military dad, and so oftentimes he would do months of deployment, and leave with his wife and his kids there. And how are they able to navigate through those rhythms? So that military dad, I'm very interested and curious. To have someone possibly to come on to talk through that.
Yeah, that's good.
Fellas, thanks for tuning in to this series called The Dad Code, unlocking the game plan to every kind of father. Next week, Osai and Carlos will talk more about their experiences growing up with their fathers. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on all our social media platforms, and like us on Facebook. And lastly, as always, as you know, make sure you go out and encourage another brother.